This year, winter has arrived unusually early. This phenomenon often signals that this year will be exceptionally cold. The overnight blizzard left snowdrifts over half a meter deep. For fur trapper Marty, this is an inauspicious start. The new trapping season has begun, but he is snowed in at home by the blizzard. Taking advantage of the break in the snow, he must quickly clear his plane. He is preparing to fly to his trapping grounds in Alaska. According to the weather forecast, the next blizzard is set to return within hours. Marty must seize this precious opportunity to fly to northern Alaska. He is very urgently de-icing his bush plane. This time, it's not just for his own safety. This trapping season, he has a new plan. To train his daughter Noah, he is taking his wife and daughter to northern Alaska. There, Noah will learn genuine wilderness survival skills and hunting techniques. This is quite commendable. Children should not live in comfort for too long. They need to understand that life often requires facing not ease and happiness, but difficulties and challenges. Noah has just turned 8 this year, but Marty feels it is already time. Marty has been contemplating this significant decision for several years. He has long envisioned the scene of his family trapping together. Only this year did he finally make up his mind to take his wife and daughter to the trapping grounds. Not only are there 2 more people, but also a large amount of supplies. All these things combined will severely overload his bush plane. Therefore, Marty enlisted a friend to help with transportation. Marty's plane will mainly carry the supplies, while his friend's plane will carry his wife and child. Compared to Marty's bush plane, his friend's plane is much safer. Noah is still young, thinking everything is just fun, like a trip. But Marty and his wife know well that this journey will involve unknown hardships and dangers. How outdated Marty's plane is. It not only lacks a navigation radar system, but even the engine must be manually started. Look at his friend's plane. Electric start, engine, navigation radar, everything is fully equipped. Comparisons can be stark. By any measure, his friend's plane is safer. Of course, Marty is well aware of this. Otherwise, why would he let his wife and child ride in that plane? After the engine starts, with the roar of the machine, the plane soars into the sky. This journey officially begins. There are no intermediate stops for this flight. They will fly directly to their destination. In such low temperatures, they must constantly monitor the icing conditions on the plane. This is a necessary condition for safe flying. Otherwise, excessive ice buildup will cause various problems for the plane, such as overweight and loss of directional control. After a long flight, little Noah has fallen asleep. The 2 pilots are also constantly communicating. Learning that Noah is asleep, Marty thinks to himself, "My girl is easygoing enough to sleep through such loud noise." After 2 or 3 hours, they finally arrive over their destination. The Marty family flies to the trapping grounds in Alaska. The 2 planes circle over the brushland, searching for the best landing spot. Marty's usual landing spot is a clear stretch within the brush. Because he comes often, he doesn't need to worry about rocks or large pits being there. But even being so familiar with the place, each landing is still the most dangerous part of the journey. The plane he pilots has no navigation or radar. Landing relies entirely on visual judgment. Therefore, his landing is not very smooth. His friend's plane is completely different. With the aid of various instruments, the landing is smooth and steady. Both planes land safely. After picking up his precious daughter and wife, this wilderness journey officially begins. His friend, having completed the task, immediately heads back to avoid the approaching blizzard. Now, the Marty family must traverse a small patch of woods to reach their camp. He will first take his wife and daughter to the cabin, then come back to haul the remaining luggage. Although it's early winter, it is already bitterly cold here. Everywhere is covered in a vast expanse of white snow. The cold has frozen everything solid. Besides the cold, they must also guard against grizzly bears that haven't yet hibernated in early winter. Alaska has approximately 30,000 grizzly bears, more than anywhere else in the world. Therefore, the chance of them encountering a bear is high. Returning here for the first time this trapping season, no one knows what will happen, or what they might encounter, so the family must remain vigilant at all times. They trudged through the deep snow to the cabin. Marty had his wife and daughter stop first. He needed to inspect the area around the cabin himself. Only after ensuring everything was safe would he let them enter. Marty's greatest fear was a bear hiding inside. If there was a bear inside, he would scare it away immediately. If the bear attacked Marty, he would shoot it directly. He knew nothing ever goes smoothly forever. One must plan for the worst and try their hardest. Marty slowly circled the cabin, checking if any bear had made it their den. Don't think this is alarmist. Such things have truly happened here before. One year, a grizzly bear broke into his cabin and destroyed everything inside. To avoid repeating that, he examined carefully, missing no trace of evidence. The front of the cabin seemed fine, and he checked the back too. He needed to ensure no bear had entered from the rear. Only after confirming no danger did Marty call his wife and daughter over. Before entering, he showed his daughter the claw marks left by a grizzly on the door. The lessons learned here would serve his daughter for life. As for this trip, his wife Dominique was supportive. She felt experiencing wilderness life was vital for their daughter's future. This man was a wilderness trapper, making a living by hunting animals for fur. Each year, he lived alone in the Alaskan wilderness for over half a year, all to earn more during trapping season. Unlike previous years, this trip to Alaska included his wife and child, so his daughter could experience the harsh life here and grow stronger and braver on her future path. Before sunrise, the Marty family rose early to begin their first full day in Alaska. In the cold winter, Alaska had only 5 hours of sunlight daily, so they had to work efficiently. During breakfast, little Noah pestered her father about something very dangerous. She'd long wanted to learn to use a chainsaw. Marty had promised her before coming, and would take her to fell trees today. Finally reaching her favorite hands-on lesson, Noah was thrilled. This reflected different educational values. Normally, we wouldn't let children handle such dangerous tools. But Marty was different. He hoped his daughter would grow resilient and brave through these lessons, becoming an extraordinary child. In the future, these wilderness experiences would shape her entire life. Honestly, given the chance, I'd wish to educate my own child this way too. Many would share this thought, I imagine. New to the Alaskan wilderness, their first priority was survival basics. Firewood, as the primary heating source, topped their tasks. Today, he'd take his wife and child to find a dead tree and bring it back for firewood, while teaching Noah to use the chainsaw. The family set out on snowmobiles to find deadwood. In this wilderness, such trees were everywhere. They soon found one. Marty had his wife and daughter stand aside, while he effortlessly felled the tree. Now it needed cutting into segments for transport home. Noah finally got her chance. With her father's help, she successfully cut the tree into sections, experiencing the thrill of using a chainsaw in the wild. After securing essential supplies, Marty began his daily trapping routine. Last year, his luck peaked. He'd earned a substantial profit. This year, he didn't expect such earnings. Breaking even would satisfy him. Each day he traversed trap lines, setting traps, checking traps. But luck seemed to have abandoned Marty. Traps set yesterday were empty today upon inspection. Prey had vanished into thin air. No matter how Marty searched, he found nothing. In the blink of an eye, the family had been in Alaska for 21 days. These 21 days, Marty caught nothing, not even a single hare. Daily expenses and snowmobile fuel were pure losses. That day, he finally reached his limit. He would retrieve all traps and return home to replan this trapping season. He needed to explore new trapping grounds. Otherwise, his expenses would exceed his income. Life sometimes demands not just effort, but the right choices. That evening, Marty returned to the cabin and told his wife about his plan. She wasn't surprised, because she knew Marty's decision must have been carefully considered. She readily agreed to her husband's proposal. The family would return home tomorrow and quickly make a new plan to ensure they could still earn enough money this trapping season. Little Noah's wilderness journey ended here. Marty contacted his friend, to fly them home tomorrow. The next day, the family packed their belongings, resealed the cabin, and left this wilderness he both loved and resented. On the distant Alaskan tundra, fur trapper Marty faced an unprecedented shortage of prey. During the entire 21 days there, he hadn't caught a single animal. Perhaps it was bad luck, or perhaps he'd trapped too much last year. Even he couldn't explain it. Unable to catch prey, he cut his losses in time and took his wife and child home. Returning home didn't mean giving up. Marty had another plan. With the trapping season still young, he would quickly devise a new strategy. After arriving home, he didn't rest for a moment, because he needed to scout a new location and lay a fresh trap line. He pored over extensive materials and finally chose a new trapping ground in an even more remote part of Alaska, the perilous Apocalypse Mountains. His goal was to find a place no one else could reach. Such places often meant facing extremely harsh conditions. He studied materials meticulously, hoping to minimize risks. This untrodden wilderness, far from human civilization, was difficult to reach even by plane. Steep rugged cliffs and vast glacial valleys made the journey profoundly challenging. Once inside, no mistakes could be afforded. A single misstep could spell doom. Before departure, he loaded the plane with essential supplies to reduce its weight. Without the cabin's shelter, his only demand was, as long as he could make money and return alive, that was enough. Because this destination was extremely dangerous, and unforeseen events were inevitable, his wife gave him a satellite phone, hoping he could seek help if needed. The family of 3 embraced to say goodbye. The plane roared and soared into the sky. This journey was far more remote than usual, pushing his bush plane to its absolute limit. His destination lay beyond these deadly peaks, and there was only one route. The canyon between the mountains formed a natural wind tunnel, generating whirlwinds reaching speeds of 100 kilometers per hour, strong enough to flip this small aircraft weighing just 450 kilograms. But to pass through, he had to fly directly into the wind. Stubborn Marty was nearly blown into the mountain walls by the gusts. The plane began rattling violently, but there was no turning back now. He could only press forward courageously to escape this valley. After clearing the canyon, the next task was finding a safe landing spot. He was setting foot here for the first time and knew nothing about the ground conditions. He had to rely on instinct. Ground that looked perfectly flat could hide dangers. Stumps, deep pits, fallen logs. Anyone could severely damage his plane, or even endanger his life. But these were the costs of exploring new territory. After circling several times, he began descending alongside a river. Marty landed successfully, likely one of the most dangerous things he'd ever done. Now, he needed to secure the plane. Otherwise, the fierce winds here could easily blow it away. As his only means of entering or leaving, if something happened to the plane, Marty would be stranded. In such a place, the chance of rescue was slim. After tying down the plane, heavy snow began falling. He felt fortunate to have landed before the storm, unintentionally avoiding extra peril. Before dark, Marty needed to pitch his tent. He strapped on snowshoes, found an open area, and began setting up his shelter, a double-layered tent designed for insulation. Its inner and outer layers effectively prevented heat loss. Yet even this double tent could leave a person freezing in such weather. Marty knew this well, so he'd brought a heating stove. Now, with some chopped firewood, he could sleep comfortably in the tent tonight. Coming to this unfamiliar Apocalypse Mountains meant complete isolation from the modern world. How desolate was this place? It said the first humans appeared here in 1967. Now, Marty was pioneering a trapline here, making him an elite among hunters. Here, Marty had no snowmobile for transport. Everything depended on basic gear to face reality. After a night's sleep, Marty put on his snowshoes and embarked on his new mission. In the desolate Alaskan wilderness, utterly cut off from civilization, fur trapper Marty was striving to salvage this trapping season. After resting a night in Alaska, Marty rose early. He needed to survey the surrounding area. A nearby river, could solve his drinking water needs. But when he reached it, he discovered danger. Due to extreme cold, the river showed overflow phenomenon. When severe cold freezes the riverbed, the ice layer thickens below, pushing flowing water above toward the banks, flooding the surrounding area. This overflow water mixing with snow rapidly forms slush, acting like quicksand. Once trapped, escape becomes nearly impossible. The overflow zone covered where Marty's plane was parked. This meant, before long, the overflow would freeze his plane in place. Now, he had to move it immediately. If the plane froze, leaving here would be impossible. He had to halt his work and focus entirely on relocating the plane. The method was simple. Just move the plane to higher ground. But execution was far from easy. He first needed to clear a suitable spot, cutting down nearby trees, then taxiing the plane over. When not stuck, moving the plane was fairly easy. But just then, the plane got bogged down in the overflow, immobilized. Marty could only throttle up, giving the plane more power to push forward, but with little effect. Was he trapped? Marty didn't give up. He pushed the throttle to maximum. This time it worked. The plane slowly crawled out of the slush and taxied to his prepared spot. He covered the plane for insulation and secured it again with ropes. This task wasted precious time. With only 5 hours of daylight here, it was now too late to set traps today. He decided to use this chance to gather firewood for warmth. In such a place, without fire, freezing to death was certain. In this forest, dead trees were everywhere. Finding one meant firewood was secured. He took his chainsaw, found a dead tree nearby, felled it, cut it into segments, and hauled them back to camp. At this moment, Marty missed his snowmobile intensely. With it, he could have dragged loads of wood back to camp in minutes with a tow rope. After hauling the wood, he split the logs with an axe. His heating materials were now ready. By the time he finished, darkness had fallen. The dazzling northern lights shimmered brilliantly overhead. Yet this stunning beauty was deadly. At this moment, the temperature outside had plunged to around minus 30 degrees Celsius, cold enough to freeze water instantly. Inside his tent, Marty warmed himself with a portable stove, his only heat source. He lit the firewood with a lighter, and warmth slowly filled the small tent. Here, hundreds of miles from home, everything started from scratch. Nearly every task was a challenge. But for Marty, this seemed routine. Perhaps, for these mountain-hardened souls, words like fear simply don't exist. Marty would rest early tonight. All supplies were in place. Tomorrow, he could finally begin his trapping journey in earnest. In the desolate western Alaska, fur trapper Marty ventured into this uncut forest. He had only one goal: to catch more prey, earn more money, and salvage this ill-fated trapping season. But here, he had to start everything from scratch. Reset traps, replan the trap line. Worst of all, he had no means of transportation. Everywhere had to be reached on foot. For trapping efficiency, this was undoubtedly a major flaw. To turn his fortunes here, Marty drew a map himself. It showed a river. This point marked his camp, and a canyon lay between two mountain ranges. Marty would use his camp as the center, branching out in 3 directions, setting traps along the way. The distance wouldn't be too far, because without transportation, traveling on foot couldn't cover the exaggerated traplands possible with a snowmobile. Marty strapped on his snowshoes, shouldered his backpack, grasped his axe, and began advancing deep into the forest. Here, Marty was essentially a pioneering newcomer. He had to refamiliarize himself with the environment and paths. He needed to visit different areas, quickly learn the terrain, and lay the groundwork for speeding up his trapping. The entire trap line would wind through this dense spruce forest. Marty chose this area because everyone knew this dense spruce forest held the highest concentration of prey in Alaska. Marty's primary target was the sable, also known as the marten, a close relative of the weasel. His strong preference for sable was because during this filming season, sable pelts had reached their highest price ever. $200 each. Truly outrageously expensive. Marty's backpack could only carry 8 traps at a time, so he had to ensure each trap worked to its full potential. He first had to find sable tracks before setting a trap. Soon, Marty spotted tracks on the ground. Though they appeared faint, because it had been snowing constantly here, these footprints couldn't be more than a day or two old. So this spot was well worth setting a trap. It was now 6 weeks into the trapping season. This was the first sable track he'd discovered. Perhaps it was a good omen. The trap setting method was the same as before. Fasten it tilted against another tree. Chain the steel trap to the trunk. Place the bait at the end of the tree, with the trap right behind it. One trap was now set. Today, he would travel along the forest edge until he found enough sable traces. So he couldn't stop, needing to cover as much ground as possible. But hiking through such deep snow was no easy feat. He had to physically stomp a path with his feet to make walking this route easier next time. Using this method, he slowly expanded his range of movement until he could form a looped trail in this area. Then he could move freely within this zone. This plan couldn't be achieved in a day or two. It required gradual accumulation, piece by piece. The initial phase would be tough, but later on, it would become much easier. This should be called pioneering. After setting all 8 traps, Marty's day was done. In this single day, he'd only walked 1 mile, but it had exhausted him completely. After a night's rest, today he would check yesterday's traps. This was the best way to test whether prey was abundant in this area. He arrived at the first trap, panting. Empty. He wasn't bothered, that was normal. The second, empty. That was understandable too. The third, still empty. Marty began to feel uneasy. The fourth, also empty. Truthfully, checking traps set just the day before rarely yielded prey immediately. But upon reaching the 5th trap, success at last. He'd caught a sable, worth $200. This gave Marty immense encouragement and proved the richness of this area. This risk had finally paid off. And this trapping season, Marty finally had his chance to turn things around. In the desolate western Alaska, fur trapper Marty finally had a long-awaited harvest. Through relentless effort, he'd secured 1 sable, worth around $200 at the time. This was his first catch since pioneering this area, giving him tremendous confidence. Today, Marty would press his advantage, returning to check traps, while further expanding his trapping range. His goal was, using camp as the center, branching out in 3 directions, each extending 5 miles into the forest, ultimately forming a looped trap line. This way, he could check all traps within this area daily and earn substantial money. Today's inspection started smoothly. The first trap already held a sable. For a trapper, what could bring more joy than catching prey? Perhaps here, Marty could truly turn things around, offsetting his losses at the cabin. But life rarely sails smoothly forever. Though 2 sables were a strong start, what followed tripped Marty badly. He arrived eagerly at the 2nd trap, only to find the steel trap missing. Assuming another catch, he approached, but the trap held only a sable's paw. The prey had been stolen. This sudden blow made Marty's heart sink. He examined nearby tracks closely and concluded the thief was a massive wolverine. Wolverines are greedy omnivores. Nothing edible escapes them. From small mammals to animals as large as adult deer, all are on their menu. For trappers, even one wolverine's presence is devastating to a trapline. They steal prey, destroy traps, and devour bait, rendering entire lines unproductive. Now he could only hope it was just passing through, stealing once before leaving him be. Marty reached another trap. His fears materialized. A triggered empty trap. Bait completely eaten. No guessing needed. Undoubtedly the wolverine's work. Wolverines have keen noses, able to track bait scent from trap to trap until they've consumed every bait and catch before departing. By the next trap, the scene crushed Marty's hope. Trap triggered, bait eaten. This wolverine clearly targeted Marty, intent on destroying his entire operation. Outwardly calm as he reset the trap, Marty's inner rage ignited. He began plotting how to eliminate this greedy thief. At the final trap, Marty's fury peaked. Only another sable paw remained in the trap, meaning another $200 lost. On this trap line, only the first trap yielded results. The rest were total failures. Now, only two options remained. Wait for the Wolverine to leave, or catch it. If you were Marty, what would you do? Marty couldn't afford to wait. Only one solution remained. Eliminate it.